This is You're Probably Right. Entertainment first, everything else is just bonus. Opinions, all ours. Sometimes backed by research, but never the final word. There are always exceptions, so take it with a grain of salt and a slight dusting of chili powder.
That's right.
That's the fight and the fright, we're searching for truth.
Yeah.
The quiet answer stays inside.
Come on.
You are probably right, it cuts but it heals, it stings but it feels. You are probably right, I'm born to the cure, the pain in my soul. From gliding to ignite, we're finding the way, from biting to inside, where shadows give way.
Because you are probably right, y'all.
You are probably right.
Let's go. How you doing? It's episode 273, I believe. Is it? I think so. Breadcrumbing 101. When you're just the option and not the choice. Now, I think I'm starting off way too happy for that to be the case. I'm telling you right now, breadcrumbing is one of the worst things a person probably experiences in their love life, if not pretty much just the worst, unless, of course, we're talking about like a total, betrayal and cheating and all that stuff. But it lasts so long because most people who get breadcrumbed usually get caught in a loop, right? Or it'd be called breadcrumb, not crumbing. Just to let you know that there's a lot of breadcrumbs going on when somebody's getting breadcrumbed. It's not just one thing. So there is a chance, I suppose, that maybe you experienced one of these things, even if you've never been actually breadcrumbed, right? Anyhow, there's a kind of pain that doesn't come from breakups, betrayal, as I was talking about earlier. It comes from confusion, from being strung along just enough to believe you matter. One thing I never understood while I'm thinking about this, but anyhow, listen. While deep down, you're not the main character in their life, that's breadcrumbing. It's when somebody gives you small pieces of affection, attention, warmth, just enough to keep you hooked, but never enough to build anything real. And if you've ever been in that place, you know the emotional hangover it leaves. The question for me is why would you do it to someone if it's happened to you? There's so many people who breadcrumb others who are while waiting for someone else to rescue them. In other words, it's like what's going around is coming around. It's like they're being breadcrumbed. They've been breadcrumbed, maybe not so much anymore, but for some reason, it's like someone taught them well. So their heart is always waiting for that person who breadcrumbed them. So then somehow it becomes this contagious thing where you start breadcrumbing other people. I don't know. Like I've been breadcrumbed, but I've never actually breadcrumbed. Maybe that's the next episode, right? Oh, I hope not. I believe breadcrumbing is a wicked, 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 wicked thing. And I'm not necessarily saying that the people who are breadcrumbing others are wicked because maybe they're unaware. I would assume some have to be unaware because it's such a not nice thing to do to somebody. When I think about it. I have a script here, guys, but every once in a while I will go off of it, as I usually do, especially like the more I'm familiar with a topic, the more I can veer off into my own feelings here and there. And I mean, listening to my podcast, you're not going to get like a revelation from above. I'm not going to give you any weird quirks of how to do or how to anything. Hopefully my personality shows through that I'm a real person and I have real feelings and I've gone through real things and I really care about the things that are really going on in your life for real. How'd you like to, I'd like to see anybody put more, anyway, I'm proud of myself there. Listen, I just assume that most of the people who listen to this podcast is probably listening to it for my personality, either because it stinks or because you like it, right? I'm just a personality. But at the same time, as I said, I consider myself your friend, even if you're not my friend. You know what I mean? So Yeah. It's just, I just had to say that. Okay, where am I? Listen, breadcrumbing isn't always obvious. It's not the same as ghosting, because ghosting, right, is at least an honest thing. The person who left because they needed to be somewhere else, or they needed to find someone else, or whatever you guys were going on with wasn't the right thing for them, or it wasn't the right thing for you. Maybe it was you, maybe it was them. But the point is, at least they leave. Breadcrumbing is slow, methodical, even psychological erosion. It's someone saying, I care, without ever actually really showing it. It's maybe later instead of no. I would honestly, I'm not going to get into it, but I would prefer somebody just say no and let me live, you know? It's their way of keeping you in emotional standby mode while they live freely and you put up with it for whatever reason. And it does something to your mind. It makes you question your worth, your memory, and your sense of what love should feel like. And I'm here to say to you, off the cuff again, if this has happened to you, please don't do it to anybody else. I mean, you know what it feels like. And maybe this is a little bit of a chastising or whatever it is if you're doing this to someone. Really look at how someone is behaving because of what you are doing to them. Look at the pain that you're causing someone else, the uncertainty, the off-balancing of breadcrumbing. If you think about breadcrumbing in its natural sense, you can imagine, if you close your eyes, a person who has a loaf of love, a loaf of affection. Now, this loaf of affection is big enough to fill your stomach and to have you satisfied for a long time. But instead, this person is just picking off penny size, dollar coin size pieces and just dropping them for you. And what do? You're bent over, picking them up and eating them. Makes you feel good for a second, but then you need more and more and more. Instead of just giving you the loaf, they're just dropping little, bigger, smaller pieces. And you just keep trailing along, possibly to your demise. And I'm saying, if you know what this feels like, then I'm just asking you, please don't do it to anybody else. Waiting for someone while you have somebody kind of over here. I really want him, but I'll let this guy just tag along because he serves little purposes here and there. So this one's for the people who've been holding on, waiting for a version of someone that only shows up in fragments. This one's for the ones who gave too much. Now, I won't say really forgave too much, because you can't really forgive too much, but it's allowing to have the same thing happen to you over and over, and keep believing those breadcrumbs would turn into a meal. If that's you, I want you to hear every word of this, because it's time to see what's really going on. Sometimes it's hard to see. You're just focusing on the little bits that you're getting. But if you were able to step away from yourself and watch yourself picking up these little small things that if you're really, really clear-minded, you'd be like, no, I would rather just go get a loaf somewhere else than have me bent over off balance, picking up little pieces of affection or love. And it's not even really true love or true affection. It's little pieces of things that look like love and look like affection. It is really a deception. It is a big lie. First thing, okay, we got 20 of these, okay? They respond only when it suits them. When someone really cares, they make time for you. even if it's 5 seconds, but a breadcrumber replies when they feel like it. Never when you need them to. You'll find yourself checking your phone, wondering if you said something wrong. Maybe they're angry, while they carry on with their day, like any other day. Their silence isn't forgetfulness. Maybe they just forgot about me. Nah, it's control. They probably even talk about you to other people, but maybe not in the way that you like them to. It's control. It's their way of training you to accept inconsistency as normal. And over time, it eats at your confidence because you start thinking you're asking for too much, when really you're asking for the bare minimum, but you can't realize it or see it. Number 2, conversations feel half finished. Many of your conversations feel half finished. They change the subject. They talk about frivolous things, and you're just happy to be a part of the conversation, so you let it happen. Person goes into talking about mold on a ceiling and the joists and all kinds of fireproofing for a fireplace, and you just want to know how their day was. But because they're talking about something and they're so excited about it, you just sit there and tickled to death that they're talking to you, even though they're talking about something that you have no interest in or have no clue what the heck it really means, or something you can't relate to. Conversations feel half finished, as I said. They give you just enough to keep you hanging on. You'll notice that every deep talk gets cut off. Every meaningful exchange somehow fades mid-sentence or ends in a joke. They'll text, "We'll talk later," but later never comes. Tomorrow does. But you spent half the night awake or getting awake, rolling over and touching your phone to see if they messaged you. Or worse, called you and you missed it. This tactic is meant to leave you craving closure that never arrives. It's emotional baiting, and you end up doing all the chasing, all the emotional heavy lifting, while they sit comfortably knowing you'll always be the one to reopen the door. Fight against it, my friend. Number 3, affection disappears after a disagreement. Healthy people can argue and still care. Breadcrumbers, they withdraw affection as punishment. 1 minute they're warm, funny, maybe even flirty. The next you're met with silence. You replay every word, trying to figure out what you did wrong. And that's the cycle. They teach you that affection must be earned through obedience, and that expressing pain risks losing their warmth. It's emotional manipulation wrapped up in what looks like distance. Number 4, they never give straight answers. That's right. It's not an accident. It's on purpose. A person who values you gives clarity. A breadcrumber usually thrives on confusion and cloudiness. Ask them if they still care, and they'll say, "Why are you overthinking?" You're like, "Why don't you just give me the answer?" Ask them if they want to move forward, and they'll say, "Let's not label things." Every response is a fog, and that fog is the point. It keeps you emotionally lost, dependent on their next breadcrumb of reassurance. It's not communication, it's evasion dressed in depth. Number 5. Sorry, I'm trying to drink this coffee at the same time. Oh boy. Number 5, they forget to follow up. When someone keeps forgetting to do what they promised, to call, to show up, to check in, that's not forgetfulness. It's prioritization. You're not at the top of their list. You're the fallback plan when boredom hits. And the worst part, you keep making excuses for them because you remember the rare times they did show up and you tell yourself, that's who they really are. But those moments are the hook. They're not the pattern. They're the exception. If you really sit there and add everything up. But you don't, because you're loving and because you want the best for you and you hope that they're the best for you. 6, their interest depends on who else is around. You'll notice they light up when there's an audience. Suddenly they're charming, loud, animated, especially if someone else is watching. But when it's just you and them, the spark dims. That's not love. That's performance. They need validation more than they want intimacy or need intimacy. And when you see it clearly, it hurts because you realize you were never part of the performance. You were the rehearsal space for them to go on to the big show with someone else. Maybe just in their mind. Maybe they do stick around. But you're not getting everything they could give you because that's still tucked away for someone else. They use touch. Number 7. They use touch or flirting to reset tension. Whenever things get real, too real, a disagreement, an emotional moment, instead of talking it through, they'll touch your arm, lean close, or make a joke that draws you back in. It's seductive because your body reacts before your brain can. That physical connection releases tension, but it never resolves the problem. It's like a chiropractor. Did I say that out loud? Maybe not. It's not affection. It's a distraction. And afterward, you're left confused because they made you feel wanted for 5 seconds, then went back to pretending nothing happened. Number 8, they keep communication ambiguous. They live in maybes. We'll see. Maybe later. I don't know what I want right now. It's a masterclass in keeping you available without responsibility. You wait, they delay, you hope, they drift, and somehow you become addicted to the almost. The illusion that this might still turn into something if you're patient enough. But the truth is, ambiguity isn't confusion. It's a strategy. They understand that the second they define it, you'll realize it, and how little they're actually giving. Because they know how little they're giving. They might even have said it to you before, and you still stick around. It's like hiding something in plain sight. You know what I'm going to do for you guys? I'm going to read this person's text over here in a second, in a while, maybe at the end. And you'll see how, or an example of what someone's going through. Listen, number 9. You're good enough for attention, not inclusion. They'll take your calls, your comfort, your emotional labor, but you'll never be a part of their real world. You won't meet their friends, their family, or be included in plans that matter. You're the private convenience, not their public commitment. That's how they keep control. They get all warmth of connection without any accountability. If you've ever felt invisible beside someone who swore they cared, this is why. I won't say it. Number 10, their availability is selective. They always have energy for others. Coworkers, friends, even strangers. But when you ask for 5 minutes, they're exhausted or busy. What they're showing you is where you rank. You're not a priority. You're not a placeholder. Yet, because you've seen their charm and their generosity with everyone else, you think maybe you're the problem. And you hoping maybe they'll do what they do for others for me one day. That's what keeps you waiting and sprung. That's how breadcrumbing poisons self-worth, by making you believe your needs are the issue, not their neglect. They act amused by your emotions. Yeah, that's right. When you care, they smirk. When you get upset, they tease. It's subtle, but it's cruel, because what you're showing them is vulnerability, and they treat it like entertainment. They'll be saying things like, "You're so dramatic," or "You're so sensitive," turning your feelings into a joke. That's a control move. It minimizes your experience so they never have to face the reality that they're the one causing you all the pain and hurt. And over time, you'll start laughing with them just to keep the peace, even when you're dying inside. Number 12. They flirt privately, but love publicly. They'll send you quiet messages, tell you you're special, maybe touch your hand when no one's watching, but they'll never show the same energy in the open to the world. You're just a friend. Behind the scenes, they keep the emotional charge alive because it benefits them. It makes them feel desired without any risk. You start to realize you're the secret, not the story. They don't mind being seen with you. No. They just don't want anyone to think you mean something really special to them. And that's the difference. Slowly kills your self-esteem. Number 13. They play the nice card to avoid guilt. When things get tense, they soften their tone, act overly kind, and say things like, "I care about you. I just need space." That's nice. Exit is emotional. That nice, whatever exit is, emotional cover. It keeps their image clean while leaving you tangled in false hope. They don't want to feel like a villain, so instead of ending it with honesty, they wrap it in compassion that keeps you hanging on. You walk away thinking there's still something good there, when really it's just guilt disguised as gentleness. Number 14. They borrow your emotional labor. Breadcrumbers often treat you like a part-time therapist. They'll tell you their problems, cry on your shoulder, ask for advice, and And obviously, if you get what I'm getting at, usually it's an empath that is the sucker for these kind of things, because they're usually like, that song, Fix You. They're usually trying to fix people. So yeah, breadcrumbers will treat you like a therapist, part-time therapist. They'll tell you their problems, cry on your shoulder, ask for advice, and lean on you when life's heavy. But once they feel better, they vanish. You're the emotional gas station they refill at, not the destination they drive towards. It's draining because it tricks your empathy. You think your love is helping them grow, but it's only feeding their temporary comfort. The moment they stabilize, they forget who studied them. It's kind of like the people who get rich, working hard with someone backing them up like a spouse, and then as soon as they get rich, they get a divorce. And then they go looking for the person that they really wanted in the first place, or the old person that they had but lost, and who maybe possibly breadcrumbed them. 15. They act possessive, but never protective. They'll get jealous when you talk to someone else, yet they won't stand up for you or defend you when others disrespect you. Possessiveness is about ownership, not care. They want to feel like they have you, but they don't actually want to be with you. It's control without commitment. And the worst part is, it can make you feel chosen until you realize you're only being claimed, not valued. 16. They mimic empathy instead of feeling it. They've learned how to sound compassionate without being connected. You'll tell them how something made you feel, and they'll echo it back. Yeah, that must have been hard. But there's no warmth behind it, no curiosity, no real comfort. It's a script that they learned, they memorized. It keeps them looking good while avoiding emotional accountability. True empathy builds bridges. Fake empathy builds illusion. And once you see the difference, it's impossible to unsee it. 17. They test how far they can push. They'll say something dismissive, ignore you, or cross a boundary just to see what you'll do. And every time you let it slide, they learn that they can get away with more and more and more. And eventually you don't even recognize yourself in this relationship. It becomes a slow erosion of your dignity, disguised as small moments. A late reply here, a canceled plan there. It's all data to them. They're testing whether you'll stay loyal even when it hurts. And when you do, they see that not as love, but as a weakness, which ends up being a strike for you. 18. They act surprised when you express pain. You'll finally reach a breaking point. Tell them you feel hurt, and they'll say something like, I didn't know you felt that way. But they did. They just didn't want to face it. That performance of innocence is emotional gaslighting. It makes you second guess your own reality. They pretend your pain came out of nowhere so they can avoid taking responsibility. It's not confusion, it's convenience. They don't want to feel guilty for what they caused, so they rewrite the story instead. 19. They expect loyalty without reciprocity. They'll act offended if you pull back or set boundaries, but they keep all the freedom in the world. They want you to wait still faithful and keep the emotional line open while they explore every option. It's selfish, but they'll mask it not being ready, or they'll mask it as being not being ready, or wanting to take things slow. The truth is, they want emotional access without obligation. They want the benefits of your care without the cost of your commitment. And lastly, they never call it what it is. At the end of all this, you realize they've never once defined what this thing between you actually is. Not a relationship, not a friendship, just this hazy middle ground that keeps you emotionally busy, but spiritually starved. That's the core of breadcrumbing. They don't want to lose you, but they don't want to love you either. You become their emotional insurance policy, something safe to return to when the world feels cold. And that realization, though painful, is freedom. Because once you stop mistaking breadcrumbs for love, you finally start feeding yourself again and find a real meal. When you've been breadcrumbed, it's not just your heart that breaks, it's your confidence. You start doubting your own reality, replaying moments, trying to find the version of them that felt genuine. But here's the truth. That version never lasted because it wasn't meant to be. They showed you what they needed to keep you close, not what they'd offer to keep you safe. And this is the part that's hard to admit. We often stay not because we believe they'll change, but because we're addicted to the almost love, the almost connection, the almost future. But almost is what keeps people emotionally starving, because they're not giving you everything you need. And they might even have said it to you and you just sucked it up same way. Oh no, I'm okay. Breadcrumbing ends the moment you decide you don't need crumbs anymore. You just have to decide. You want the full meal. You want consistency. You want care. You want clarity. Anything less isn't love. It's emotional rationing or rations. And when you finally walk away from the cycle, it's not about punishing them. It's about proving to yourself that you deserve to be chosen, not half-fed, not with your belly almost full of love. Anyhow, y'all, this is it. Nice short one today. Well, maybe it's not that short. But it's not easy. I understand it, Maybe, you're with someone and, every time you see them, they, you talk normal and they give you a nice smile, or maybe they don't give you such a nice smile. And the next day they're smiling as bright as could possibly be. Maybe they touch you on the arm or hold you around the waist for a split second, or just grab onto you as you pass by and make you feel important, or they give you something that they don't give to everybody that they see when they come and see you, or whatever the case is, so you feel special. And then one day you just realize that, it is just breadcrumbing. They never want to fully commit. Rarely, if ever, tell you that they actually love you on their own without saying something like ditto, or I care about you too. It's really sad, actually. So if you're a breadcrumber or turning into one, remember how your days used to go. Don't do it to somebody else. All right, y'all. This is MCM signing off. Episode 273, Breadcrumbing 101. When you're just an option, not the choice. Take care, y'all. Hey, come check out You're Probably Right podcast. Society is getting more unpredictable every day, but at the same time, predictable in its unpredictability. Say that 4 times real fast. Come with me as I attempt to find clarity in all the fog while staying way outside the box and kicking the box way down the road with my size 12 dogs. I use the Bible, experience, education, fortune, misfortune, life's lessons, life's mistakes to sort through all the mess. I talk about news, God, God, self-help, sports, sickness, health, music, parenting, love, humbleness, hurt, pain, joy, and all the things that might make you say, I never thought of it that way. Hopefully, anyway. Also, I take a stab at answering tough and not so tough questions, and all the while, understand that, listen, sometimes you end up in the hot seat and there's no thermostat. Well, that's how it is here. And because there's no topic, very few topics off the table, Torontonians will understand that Doug Ford reference there. Hopefully the podcast will be helpful and uplifting. And hey, maybe you'll find your own private Idaho here somewhere. Hope to see you soon.